Hey y'all, today we're going to talk about polygons and how we name them. Okay, so to start off, let's talk about what a polygon is at base value. So a polygon is a two-dimensional figure. Three-dimensional versions of polygons are called polyhedra. And if you think about the root word poly, that means many. So it's a many-sided figure. So it's just about any 2D figure. It has to be closed. And so no open sides. And none of the sides can be curves. So all of the sides must be straight lines. Okay? And then kind of depending on who you talk to, sometimes the additional requirement of no crossed sides is thrown in there as well, because you could consider that two polygons that share a vertex. Okay, so that's how we determine if something is a polygon to begin with. And then we have names of polygons for a handful of them, not for all of them, because there's technically an infinite number of polygons you could make. And a bunch of them you probably already know. So a three-sided polygon is a triangle. A four-sided polygon, it's not a square, it's not a rectangle, it's not a parallelogram, it's a quadrilateral. And those two names are kind of the funkiest, but they all, you'll notice, have a prefix that tell you how many sides. Tri means 3, quad means 4. But then the next follow a pattern even beyond that. Next we have a pentagon, where pent or penta means 5. 6 is a hexagon. 7 actually kind of depends on who you ask. It's both called a septagon and a heptagon. I've heard it referred to as both. You can, on the internet, find it referred to as both. 8, you probably know. That's an octagon. Octa meaning 8, like octopus. 9 is a nonagon. And 10 is a decagon. Deca, like December, means 10. And then anything above that, with a couple of exceptions, we have a special name for like 12 and so on, but anything above that is generally just referred to as an n-gon, where n is the number of sides. Number of sides. Okay, so if you had something that was 16-sided, it would be called a 16-gon. If you had something that was 32-sided, it would be called a 32-gon. You could have a 273-gon, although at that point it would be kind of ridiculous. Okay, so it's just generally above 10 with a couple of exceptions. We just call it number of sides, gon. Okay, so that's how we name polygons by side. And then by measure, this right here, so you can see these markings where all the sides are congruent. That is called equilateral. Lateral, all sides congruent. Okay, and then for the next one, you can see there are markings on all of the angles. So in this case, all angles are congruent. And this is called equiangular. And then if you have a shape where the sides are all congruent and the angles are all congruent, so it is both equilateral and equiangular, that is called a regular polygon. So some examples that you know really well would be a square is a regular quadrilateral. An equilateral triangle, while we call it, oops, sorry, that was shaky. While we call it equilateral, it technically is regular. Okay, so those are some really basic examples, and then this is an example of a regular hexagon. Okay, so those are the two different ways that we can name polygons.